What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Casual Podcast with your boy, Brian Girley, the Casual Brian, connecting you to. Nope, that's not it. This podcast and stream are brought to you by the Casual brand, connecting you to one another casually. So, yeah, got a new thumbnail, trying out this new thumbnail. Old picture, new thumbnail. You know what I'm saying? It's a fan. It's a favorite. It's a favorite. It's a favorite pick of mine. But yeah, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the stream. If you're tuning in from Facebook, thank you. I think you can follow. I'm not sure. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. Twitch and Twitter, you know the deal. So let's get right into it. There's a lot to talk about. There's not really an update. Let me go ahead and switch this out. There's not really an update on the Antonio Brown situation. It just seems to be more conflicting stories. There does still seem to be the issue of the money. Was it about money? Was it about his incentives? That has not been cleared up. But then now there seems to be a discrepancy over whether they wanted him to play and he felt like he wasn't healthy enough to play and they felt like you need to get out there and play. I don't know. All I know is it just doesn't feel good. Doesn't seem great. Um, you know, there was some implications by the organization and I think Brady as well that Antonio Brown's mental health was not good. I'm not a fan of that. Now, let me. I've been writing. I'm active on Twitter, very active on Twitter, and it's very hard to have a hard take on this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have too hard a stance on this because there's just so many moving parts, and I don't know if he is having mental health issues because if he is having mental health issues, that needs to be the priority. That needs to be the top priority. But if it's not about mental health and it's simply about either them wanting him to play when he didn't feel healthy enough to play or incentives, then that's more of an issue for me. That is the icky, bad boogeyman NFL. And that's what I'm used to. More often than not, it's an issue of the NFL and organizations pushing these players past where they feel comfortable and or doing shady things to keep from having to pay them, which I'm not a fan of. Um, I don't like the I don't like the let's wait till we get all the facts. I hate when people say that because generally when they're saying that it's normally having to do with people being crappy, but sometimes it's applicable, you know. Um, some things I think are not justified, no matter what the facts are. And that's the times when I feel like I'm not a fan of that term. Anyway, no real updates. It seems like there's a lot of discrepancy, so I'm still going to keep an eye on that. But there's nothing really to talk about now. One thing I haven't really talked about this a lot. I don't know why, because I'm very interested in is this whole feud happening between Dana White and um, Jake Paul. Now let me get on the record because I think it's important. Before you state your opinion, before you start talking about something, you need to be honest and say where you're coming from. I don't like Dana White at all. I can't deny his ability to promote. I can debate his ability as a leader. I think that there's other leaders in the UFC that have caused it to flourish, but Dana White, I cannot deny his ability as a promoter. I hate how he treats his fighters. I hate how he talks about his fighters, calls them boys, kids. I don't care how much older Dana is. These are grown men. One thing that I hate, I take extreme exception to, is being called boy. Now, for me, in my case, there are racial undertones, but there's also just it's a dismissiveness of the fact that I am a man. I am a grown adult and I'm a man. And to be called boy is I don't think that there's anything that can be more offensive than someone calling me boy. So when I hear people do it, it triggers me. I think Dana White is a scumbag. I think that he's trash, um, and he behaves like that. He's a disgusting human being, and I don't. I have no love for Dana White at all, at all. I think he's a bully. I think he's manipulative. Jeez, what was that? Manipulative. I'm not. That word's not happening today. Tuesdays, I guess. Why can't I say that word? You ever have that happen? There's a word that just gets fogged up in your brain and you just can't get it. Anyway, I don't like Dana White. So when I talk about Dana White, it's important that you know that, because even if I'm trying to be fair, I'm not going to be fair. you know, there is always going to be a slight bias. That being said, I think he's getting absolutely embarrassed by Jake Paul, and here's why. And then you can take from it what you will. Jake Paul, whether you like him or you hate him, which a lot of people hate him. I wasn't the biggest fan of him at first. Still not the biggest fan of him. But what he's saying is right. Period. What he's saying is right. The UFC does not treat their fighters right. They do not pay them right. The UFC is a $1 billion industry. Okay? They're signed up with ESPN. I've seen them on primetime TV. I believe it was ABC, which would make sense because ESPN is owned by Disney. So that means they have Disney ties. They are a major organization with major backing. And for them to pay their fighters what they pay their fighters, it's unacceptable. For them to treat their fighters like they treat their fighters, it's unacceptable. And so Jake Paul is right. You know, I mean, it's just such classic deflection. Jake Paul comes out with these demands, which is entertaining. You can't deny the entertaining element of Jake Paul, but his whole thing is entertaining. But then get to what he asked for. Dana White didn't even address that. He's like, if you think you can do it, then you do it. It's awful. Talk about why you can't do it or why you won't do it. You know, I just it's so thank you. Um, it's so frustrating to see how Dana White just feels untouchable. And I'm happy that he feels that way, because that's going to lead to ultimately the UFC falling. Now, I have friends that are in the UFC. I have friends and people I know that are in the UFC, and I don't want to see them lose their job. What I want to see is a better organization come up and pay the fighters what they deserve. Imagine, I think the last statistic I saw is that the UFC pays their fighters 16%, 1/6 of the revenue generated by the UFC. So to give some perspective, I think I think the NFL is about just under 40%, 45, something like that. The players make the revenue, and then the NBA is 50 something percent. But they make the majority share of the money, of the revenue. 16%. That's like what? The people working at the stadiums? You know what I mean? What is that? There's no excuse for how much they get paid. And then if you want to really get into it, how much is Dana making? You know what I'm saying? I just I and that this could take me into my beef with capitalism. Unchecked, unregulated capitalism, because it it feeds on itself. It's designed to feed on itself. And what do I mean by that? I mean that it's not designed for many to prosper. It's designed for one to prosper. That's the mentality. Get as much as you can get by leveraging and exploiting others. There's no major company that does not exploit other people. Whether it's Apple and the labor they use overseas, uh, whether it's UFC and the fighters, every company exploits someone. And it's unfortunate. It doesn't have to be that way. We are a wealthy country with amazing businesses, but we value, let's call it leadership, management. And it's all our company, all our business models are top heavy. It's a reverse pyramid where the people at the top make the majority of the money and the people at the bottom make next to nothing. And people will say, well, Brian, it's their company. They started it. They're creating opportunity. Okay, that's fine. Just make it more even. I personally, if it was like Brian was the leader of the country, I would make it to where you can't make more than a certain percentage of what you make. That's true capitalism. See, credit, you can't really have true capitalism if you have credit. Because credit hides the fact that you're not winning. You're not doing what you said you're doing. Think about it like this. Back in the days when we used to have to hunt to eat, there was no credit. That's pure capitalism. If you get out there and you catch, you eat. If you can't catch, then you need to find some way to work with somebody. Maybe you can farm, maybe you can build houses. There's ways to bring value to the community, but if you don't catch, you don't build, if you don't farm, you don't eat. But that's not what we have now. We have credit, which hides the fact that your business is not working. Businesses can operate in the red. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But let's not like make it like, well, they were good enough. No, you weren't good enough. You just have credit. You built up enough of a reputation to where people say, well, they might pay me back, or they probably will pay me back. They don't even care because it's not people doing things with other people's money. They don't care. Anyway, don't get me started. Don't get me started. For the life of me, I think that the credit system really just is why we're all messed up. It's why we're all messed up. Anyway, let me get all the way back. Dana and Jake. So, Jake is calling Dana out, and Dana is coming back with these ridiculous accusations. Drug test him. He said he'll take it. Take the drug test. He takes the drug test. You take the drug test. I don't find it too far fetched to think that Dana White might do some fun party favors. Let's just say it like that. Dana White just needs to treat his fighters better, man. And I'm happy that I'm seeing some fighters speak up, but I get it. It's if you speak up and you're out of the UFC, then you're out of the UFC. You worked your whole life to get to the UFC. That's the problem with everything. There's too much. There's just too much power. Dana White has too much power. I've seen great fighters never get a shot, or when they get their shot, they're too old, like Ben Askren, and they get kneed. They get their life, their soul kneed out of their body. So Dana White take it. Dana White talks a lot of trash. You know what I mean? I would love to see that guy just get in the ring. Get in the ring with Oscar De La Hoya. You talk a lot of trash, Dana. Say it in the ring. I bet you wouldn't. It's interesting. It's interesting how people like Dana White operate. You know, classic mafia guys. Yeah. Anyway, I think the Jake Paul, Dana White thing is funny. I think and another thing about Dana White is, and this is if you're defending Dana White, think about this. Dana White beefs with a lot of people, a lot of his own fighters. He's currently talking trash about Gaethje. That he was ducking fights or turning down fights. There's so many instances where you can just clearly see that Dana White is garbage. How he did Leon Edwards, how he's doing with Francis Ngannou. And trust and believe, I can promise you the UFC is not crazy about having 3 Nigerian champions. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, there's so much talent in the UFC right now. They could really be that place, that league. They're not. They're not. I know the UFC's the top dog and they're doing good, but they could be doing so much better because there's so much talent, there's so many personalities in the UFC and they're just not exploiting it right. They could be doing it better. Anyway, I don't want to spend any more time on Dana and Jake because Dana's never going to listen. It's all back and forth for nothing. Ron DeSantis has come out of hiding. This guy, okay, so he comes out, he does a press conference, he takes a shot at Joe Biden, and then he says, "I put out the calendar." You know, the thing about Ron DeSantis, the thing about everybody is you got to listen to what they're saying, especially conservative talk people. I'm sure it's on both sides. But man, conservative talk and conservative personalities, they're really bad at slipping in the truth and then hiding it around a bunch of crap. But DeSantis comes out, takes a shot at Biden, and then says, "We put out the calendar," and then goes in and just starts to stutter and stumble. Should I play the clip? No, I don't want to play the clip. I don't want YouTube to get mad at me. So I'm not going to play the clip. I got to do some research. I know I can play some of clips because I see people do it all the time. I just got to figure out what's the amount that I can play. I'll do that. That's on me. I'll figure it out. But anyway, he says we put out the calendar. Basically, he's saying I was on vacation. I was on vacation. And look, I'm okay with people. I'm okay with leaders taking vacations. It's a job. They're not kings and queens. You know what I mean? They need it. We need them to take breaks. But if your state happens to be dealing with an issue, you do have to address it. Now, maybe he didn't think it was that big of a deal. That's fine. Come out and say, "Hey, okay, we knew this was going to happen. Here in Florida, we're not tripping about COVID like that. And this seems like it's a less um, intense version of COVID. So we're not going to worry. We're not going to stress. Stay calm. You know, that's fine." He could have said that. He could have said, "We have plenty of room in the hospitals. Testing's a little low, but, you know, don't even worry about testing that much. If you have symptoms, you know, or if you've been around somebody, then get tested." There's so much he could have said. He could have had an approach. Any approach would have been fine, but he needed to say something. And the first thing they put out was he's on vacation. That's where he's at. And people were like, "What? Vacation? Have you seen our numbers? What are you talking about vacation?" Which is fair. Then the second thing they tried to say was that, "Oh, he's with his wife who's getting cancer treatment." No, no, that's awful. It worked. It stopped the narrative, but that's not the case. He giving him the benefit of the doubt, he went with his wife for cancer treatment on December 29th, and that was it. The whole other time, the rest of the time, he was gone. He was on vacation. He was on holiday. So don't do that. That's a bad look. That's in poor taste. And what's really weird, now this, you know, I'm not accusing anyone of lying, but what's really weird is that 2 days after she had cancer treatment, whatever kind of treatment she got, she was at a crowded event in Miami with no mask. Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't treat cancer. I don't study the treatments of cancer, but I do know that it lowers the immune system. And if anybody would need to be extra careful, it would be his wife. So I'm just curious. I'm curious as to why was she even there? What are they thinking? DeSantis, you know, I get it. I get why people like him. It's the same reason why people don't like him. You know, but the thing I'll say about DeSantis is that he represents his people. You know, the people that voted for him, the people that got him elected, he goes hard for them. And that's my problem with the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party gets in and tries to make everybody happy. It's like, that's not what you need to do. That's not what you're there to do. You're there to go hard for the people that got you into office. That's what the Republicans do. And you get upset with them. Why are you upset with them? They're not there to make all of us happy. They're definitely not there to make me happy. They're there to make the people that got them into office happy. And so, it's unfortunately we don't have a balanced government. We don't have a balanced approach to government. Our political system is completely fractured. So what we have to do is when we get inside the house, get as much as you can. And it's like people hate to say it, to call it as it is. But it is what it is. And if you feel bad and if you're worried about what people think, then you're not going to get anything done. And that's going to be unfortunate. Midterms are going to be interesting this year. I don't know which way they're going to go. I really don't. Part of me feels like it's already over. It's too late. The Democrats have done too little, and so people are just going to be like, you know what? I know everyone's upset with Biden. I don't really understand why people are so upset with Joe Biden. I just don't. I don't understand. You know, I it the exit of Afghanistan. That's not on him. He didn't pick that date. He didn't tell the leadership over there to just completely bail. What's happening on the border. I don't know, man. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. People are tripping. But I will say this to be fair to the people. He doesn't say anything about what he's done. He doesn't tell. I don't really know anything that he's done. I know I got a refund check. That was great. I hope I get more. But I don't know what he's done at all. At all. I know he's helped my parents get a lower monthly rate on their insurance, which that's great. Putting money in people's pockets. I'm sure that more. I mean, all the people are calling right now. I don't know what's going on. I think it's like the hour that people call. Joe Biden the Joe Biden needs to do a better job of explaining to people what he's done, what he wants to do, and why they should care. That's it. Anybody from the Democratic Party, from the White House, from Joe Biden's team, Kamala's team, this is what you need to do. What have you done? What do you want to do? And why should I care? Me being the voter. That's it. That's all you got to do. It's super simple. That's what Trump was good at communicating. This is what's wrong. This is who can fix it, me. And that's why you should care. That's it. Immigration's awful. I can fix it. That's why you should care. Taxes are too high. Taxes are too high. I can fix it. I'll bring them down. You gotta reduce your communication. Joe Biden does these press conferences, and I have no idea what this guy's doing, what this guy is trying to do. And another thing is, if I don't know what you're trying to do or what you've done, I can't really tell if you've been successful. I know that they were trying to do the Build Back Better bill, which apparently failed. Oh my God. Don't get me started on Manchin and cinema. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna pivot. Actually, before I pivot again, I gotta tell you, man, I'm not it's almost a joke, but like go check out that BoJack video, man. It is dope. It is so dope. Just go on my YouTube page and then look up the BoJack video. I didn't put a link up. I'm not gonna put a link up because it's like I don't know where to put it. But it's so good. Actually, I'm gonna put it. If you follow me on Instagram, it'll be in my story today. It's just such a dope video. I'm thinking about making another one today. Probably not today because I have a call that I'm doing, and I'm doing hashtag research, and it takes a while. So probably tomorrow, maybe. But it's just I'm thinking about doing a Rick and Morty video. It's just basically kind of like breaking down certain elements, not elements, but certain impactful moments that happen. That's kind of what I'm doing. It's like a side thing, but I like to do it. I'm actually pretty excited. I'm trying to set up different podcasts with different friends that are in different areas, because the main areas that I'm in, it's um, jujitsu slash grappling slash mixed martial arts, anime, and then music. And so for my music podcast, I'm very, very excited because I did uh, talk with a person, a very cool person, and we're going to be launching a podcast. So I'm excited about that. Can't say who it is yet. Man, there's a lot of stuff happening in 2022, and I'm very excited. I'm also super anxious because there's a lot of uncertainty. You know, Uncertainty's not bad. It's just uncomfortable for people like me who have control issues, which is also why apparently I have issues with flying, because I have no control, zero control. But whenever I'm in uncertain times, it doesn't matter if it's like, even if I have two good options, like Brian, you're going to get $1 million or $5 million. I'm going to stress about that. And that's something that I'm trying to work on this year. Anyone who's listened or has been listening to me, I'm really working on fear. And another way of thinking about it is anxiety. Because I just, I worry about the unknown. And I felt like I had made some progress with that, but I feel like I've kind of regressed a little bit. So I'm trying to really just lean into it. I have a call today, and it's a discussion with a friend, which I think we might be recording for the podcast, but I don't know. I'm gonna ask him, and if he wants to do it, we'll do it. If he doesn't want to, he just wants to have a conversation, then we'll have a conversation. But I'm having a conversation with a friend, and I have a little anxiety around it, you know, and I don't know why. I need to listen to my friend from college, Matt Sawyer. He's a phenomenal jazz educator in the state of Texas, phenomenal saxophonist, uh, dope composer as well. And he used to have a saying, and at the time, I used to laugh and be like, "That's the most ridiculous saying I ever heard in my life." Sawyer, you're crazy. This is the saying: "They can't eat me." I was like, how does that saying give you any comfort when you have a deadline, when you have something done, when you have a confrontation, whatever? But you say they can't eat me. And I find myself coming back to that. They can't eat me, you know? What's the worst that they can do? Why am I afraid of people? Why am I afraid of confrontation? Why am I afraid of anything? You know? Um, and so like I said, I've made some progress last year. And but then some things, there's just so much uncertainty. So for example, here's a perfect example. I got boosted, and so my thought is currently, I'm not going to get boosted and worry. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do everything I can do to be healthy and worry. I'm going to get boosted. I'm going to uh, do the things that I need to do to keep me protected, meaning wearing a mask. But I'm also going to take calculated risk. Meaning, when I first came here, I did jujitsu with unvaccinated people. Now, that's not my preference, but I was okay with that risk. The numbers were low. Omicron hadn't really popped off. But now that it's going crazy, I don't feel comfortable. And I would probably be fine, but I know that my family doesn't feel comfortable. But what I'm not going to do is be vaccinated, train, and worry. If training causes me to worry or causes my family to worry, I'm going to take training out. I'm going to ride the bike, do my yoga flow, do my ab workout, maybe lift a couple weights. I got some small dumbbells. I'm not going to do both. You know what I mean? So you just kind of have to choose, right? You kind of have to choose not to worry. So I have a call. It's going to be a good call. And that's another thing too. I need to start changing the way I'm talking to myself. It's going to be a good call. We're going to talk to each other, and we're going to help each other understand our perspectives. You have a choice, and I'm going to start making a better choice. I'm going to start having a better conversation, a more positive and optimistic conversation. So that's my stream for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you uh, enjoy the stream. If you do, please follow, please subscribe, please share with your friends and family. I'm here Monday through Friday. Again, because I'm here in Florida on vacation, we don't have a set time, but hopefully next week we'll be getting to our set time, which will be 9:30 a.m. The stream will be dropping, and then sometime in the afternoon, I haven't set a time yet. It's either going to be 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. I'm going to drop the podcast. So if you enjoy it, that's going to be where you can find it. And until tomorrow, have a great day. Keep it casual.